Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheswaraha, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha, Saraswati Namastubhyam, Varade Kamarupine, Vidyarambam Karishyami, Sarvakareshu Sarvada. Om Shanti.
We are very privileged today to have with us Professor Radhakrishnan. He has been here in this campus for more than 5 decades. He has been with the campus in different capacities, both as a student and later as a faculty and also as a retired person. And so we cannot separate him from the campus, so to say. So he has contributed for the growth of the campus as well as the Department of Applied Mechanics in various ways. And so we are here today to learn from him his experiences in the campus, to see whether we have many take-homes from what his life has been here. Sir, we will start with your early childhood. I know that you were born in Melkote, and then your schooling was also in Chennai, even before you entered into the portals of IIT as a student of civil engineering. So can you tell us a little bit about your early childhood, and who were your inspiring teachers who prompted you to take up certain positions in your life and hold on to those positions as you traveled along in your life? Please tell us about it.
So thank you, Professor Lakshman Rao. I would like to thank also the Heritage Center, Professor Nagarajan and Professor Kumaran, for inviting me to this presentation. I am very happy to be in the midst of all of you today. I was actually born on 1st December 1943 in a village in Tanjore district called Melattur, which is famous for the Narasimha drama, which is being conducted every year. And I was the only male child in my family. My father had 7 children. I had 6 sisters and myself, the only son. He was a railway clerk to start with, and I did my early schooling in Chetpat Corporation High School up to 6th class from 1947, 48 to 53, 54. And then my father moved to Mysore. He was in the railways, and so I entered a convent where they put me 1 class below because I came from a Tamil medium school to English medium school. But within a year they found that I could be elevated and they gave me double promotion. So that way I never lost a year. And then after 3 years in Mysore, my father again came back to Chennai, and I joined the Christian College High School, Chetpat, where I did my SSLC examination. So that time Kurvil Jacob was the headmaster, he was a very popular man, and I was influenced by my teacher Mr. Balaji, who was a class teacher, and a Sanskrit Pandit who taught me Hindi. I took second language Hindi, Mr. Sharma. And during my school days, I always got a distinction in the mid-semester exams and all that. So that before I passed my SSLC, they put my name in the notice board offering a seat in the Madras Christian College. And that time my house was in Perambur. My father was working in the railways, in the Perambur workshop, loco workshop, he was put there. And I did not want to go to Madras Christian College, which was quite far away from my residence. So I got admission in Laila College, Madras, where I did my pre-university. And In Laila College, there was a maths teacher, Adivara Iyengar, who would boast that he would produce 100% distinction in the class. And he almost really did that. And I was very fortunate to have secured 3 distinctions, 3 subjects and 2 A plus out of the 6 subjects, which alone fetched me a seat in IIT Madras by way of interview. So I belong to the second batch, 1960 batch. There was no IIT entrance exam. The selection was purely based on your academic record and your interview performance. So I was very lucky. That way I could get into IIT Madras, and not many people at that time knew about IIT Madras. They used to think it is ITI. So whenever I said IIT is ITI, they used to ask. Anyway, it was a very pleasant life in IIT. Those days with very little infrastructure. There were no good roads. There were many power cuts, and hostels were all just getting started, and we were put in different places in the Madras Highways department for some time, in the AC college sometime, and we shuttled between these 2 places and IIT by a military truck. So the defense people sent a truck to carry us back and forth.
So that brings us to your next phase of life, which is your education, which is both undergraduate education and a postgraduate education following that. So tell us a little bit about your undergraduate days in IIT Madras. How was the social life? Who were your inspiring teachers? And you did it in civil engineering. And how did you enter into civil engineering? And what was it? It was a 5-year program also. So tell us a little bit about your undergraduate education at IIT Madras.
So the life as an undergraduate student in IIT Madras was thoroughly enjoyable. We had a batch of about 125 students and many from North India, so we had a good chance to interact with our North Indian friends, and we learned speaking Hindi also in the meantime. And when I entered IIT, they first offered me mechanical engineering. I went to mechanical department and joined the classes for initially, but when the drawing classes came, and with the geometrical drawing and all that, I was little jittery. So I was feeling it is too much above my head to visualize the 3-dimensional views and all that. So I myself, without the knowledge of my own father, asked for a change to civil engineering, thinking that the drawing there will be much simpler, building drawings. That is how I got into civil engineering. But I don't feel any regret for that, because some of the teachers there were very, very good. And that time, my head of the department was Professor Varghese. He was in structures, and there was a soil mechanics, there is geotechnics, geology. So some of the teachers were very good, and pre-stress concrete, structural design, soil mechanics, and so on and so forth. So life was very tough in IIT. In the beginning, we were taught by many German professors who used to teach something of very high standard, and most of us could not follow their English, or we did not understand the nuances of the different subjects like physics, mathematics and so on. And there used to be a regular periodical grading system, and many of us got into the lower grade, C, D, that was the lower grade which somebody could think of. And in the first 2 batches, I think definitely there are more than 10% failures, which I don't see in the later generations. Not that they were not good, but the question papers were very tough and we could not follow many of the lectures by German professors. And we used to even have some surprise quizzes. So on Sunday afternoon, the notice would be put in the notice board that there is a periodical tomorrow in this subject. So we hardly had few hours to prepare, but anyway it was all fun, and we used to have sometimes even open book examinations. So I graduated with civil engineering degree in 1966, and I was not too keen to continue further academic program. And my father was in the railways. He had some 6 daughters to get married. It was little tough, and so I had to take up a job. And the first job I got was as an assistant engineer in the highways department in Madras. And just prior to that, I attended an interview for a senior technical position in IIT Madras in the Department of Applied Mechanics, and Professor D.V. Reddy was the chairman of that program. Fortunately, I got selected, and the pay that I got that time was little more than what I would have got as an assistant engineer in the highways department. So in the interest of my family, I took up this job, and I was pushed into research and higher academic pursuits because of the academic environment that was present in IIT Madras.
So before we go into your postgraduate thing, I want to just focus a little bit on your undergraduate life and compare it with what you see as undergraduate life today. You said that life was tough even at that time, but were people much more integrated and social, and did you find mental stress in the students even at that time, or can you compare it with what you find in campuses today?
Yeah, there is quite a lot of change among the student community also. Even though at that time, most of the students who came with very high marks, some with state ranks and university ranks and so on, they all moved as a brother, and there was hardly any noticeable difference or egoism among the students, and many of us would consult some of the good students who grasp the subjects very easily to understand things better on the eve of the periodical examinations. And it was almost a brotherly feeling, even though many were North Indians speaking different language. There was a universal brotherhood, and there was no hatred among students. And even though many of them did not do well after coming here academically, yet it was a very pleasant union, I should say. And even to this date, we have contacts with some of my classmates who are very eager to talk about the past and come and meet in Chennai, see each other and all that. And the teachers are also very good. Personally, I would pay all my respects to all my gurus who were very excellent teachers in their own subject. Professor Veluswamy was one such earlier teacher who was a very soft-kinded faculty in the Department of Applied Mechanics, who also handled other subjects like mechanisms and so on and so forth. So life in IIT was more jovial, more enjoyable, and during the holy times, people used to pull out all the fellows who are sitting inside the rooms and smear them with the different colors, push them into ponds, and we used to walk to faculty residences and shout something on the holy Ayudha Puja, not Ayudha Puja, that holy festival songs and all that, and they used to come and give sweets. And then we used to walk or even cycle up to Elliot's Beach and all of them were pushed into the water there. We had a dip, and we used to return home by about 2:30, 3 o'clock and have our lunch. That was the most enjoyable part of our early life in hostel. The first hostel was the Krishna hostel to be built. When I joined, it was only the ground floor was built, so I stayed there for some time, and after about 2 years the Kaveri hostel came up. So then I moved to Kaveri hostel till my graduation. And at this point I would also like to say that I was also a warden of the Kaveri hostel in later years when I was a faculty in the department.
It's very good, sir. So you came into applied mechanics department purely because it offered a good job for you at that time. So and then you slowly grew in the applied mechanics department, both as a student and later as a faculty. So how was this transition into some entity called applied mechanics, which is not popular across the country or even in the world? So, and an absorption into it. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's a loose entity, it was not well defined, but yet it is one of the oldest department in the institute. So can you tell us the transition between civil engineering to applied mechanics and its identity in the later parts of your career?
Really, I was not very keen to pursue civil engineering in the design and the construction and so on. I wanted to be a little bit more on the theoretical side, and applied mechanics fitted that role in all areas of engineering. Especially in our applied mechanics department, we had the solid mechanics group, we had the fluid mechanics group, and we had the vibrations machine dynamics group. So all these three integrated to form the applied mechanics department in the beginning. I too joined the structures group and completed my masters in the solid mechanics division, working on free vibrations of multi-layered elastically connected plate system. And when I was doing that, there was a professor from Stanford University, Professor Danju Gista, who was accommodated in applied mechanics department as an associate professor. He was a very young man, about 35 years old or something, very dynamic person who brought lot of inputs into biomedical engineering from whatever he had gathered in US. And Professor D.V. Reddy told me that if you are interested, it is better that you shift to biomedical engineering. The chances of your growth in the department will be far easier, far better, and it is a growing field which is only in the infant stage in India. So I took it up naturally on his advice, and I am very happy to say that even though to begin with we were only 4 faculty members in biomedical engineering, we had a good rapport. I was on the mechanics side. There was another Professor Patil with me on the mechanics side. There was Professor T.M. Srinivasan on the electronics side, and Professor Megha Singh on the biophysics side. So we had a good interaction, and we did projects and guided several students in all these areas. And all the students have been very kind and very nice. I have been blessed with extremely gifted students who are now holding very high positions across India.
Before we come to your students, I want to delve a little bit more into your developing interest in research. So can you tell us a little bit about how Professor Gista inspired you and how you really liked taking up a research career in your life?
So Professor Gista was a real tough master at that time. He had almost 10 students registered under him, which was a very large number in those days when it was difficult to get even 2 or 3 students under a faculty. And he motivated all of us by giving some initial input. He had already had some idea on what areas to work and what are the references available, what somebody has published, and some sketchy written work. So he used to give it to all the students and ask them to go to the library, search for more details, and at the end of every week you have to show on a book whatever titles you have got, and then he will tick these things and ask us to get reprints. So that way every weekend we used to send out lot of requests for reprints. Everybody had to send at least about 10 requests for reprints. So this all continued for a very long time, and this really motivated some of us to think on certain areas which we felt we are really comfortable with. So that way I preferred the area of biomechanics, because I was a little bit familiar with mechanics both in the applied mechanics department and as a civil engineer in strength of material and other analysis courses. And this gave me an insight into developing my own curriculum and syllabus, because this was the first time IIT was having a course in biomechanics in the whole of India. So I had some sketchy notes which was given by Professor Danju Gista when he first joined IIT Madras. Some notes which I took down, and I went to several libraries to search of material and collected all the materials which was relevant to mechanics, and that is how I prepared the syllabus for the first time in IIT Madras. And I handled this course only myself and sometimes Professor Patil for several years, and later on I developed this into orthopedic mechanics also and quantitative physiology. So Gista gave me two problems. One is to work on cardiac aneurysms, that is a bulge which develops in the most stressed area of the heart in some conditions of the heart, which will eventually grow and burst and cause rupture and bleeding, and the person will more or less not live further. And the second was on estimation of pulse wave velocities in arteries to characterize the elastic nature of the vessel wall, to find if any thickening or hardening of the arteries has taken place. These two, somehow I went more, he gave some hint, I went more into the details, and I successfully completed the projects. And at this point I would like to say that before some of us, because I was a part-time PhD student, I was a faculty handling the strength of materials lab, going for tutorials, engineering mechanics tutorials, and sometimes even delivering 1 or 2 lectures. So the normal students would take 3 to 4 years, and we took about 6, 7 years or 8 years. And before we could enter the 3rd or 4th year, Professor Gista suddenly left IIT Madras, and this put quite a few of the students in jittery. They had to search for suitable guides in other departments or go elsewhere. And I had the good fortune to get some help on Professor G. Jayaraman in Anna University, who was a postdoctoral fellow in IIT Madras in the aero department. With God's grace, I completed my PhD, and then my life started in IIT. I started guiding some MTech students, and then MS students and PhD students.
We have learnt a little bit about your early childhood as well as about your student life at IIT Madras, and you also explained to us the transition between your student life to an academic life at IIT Madras. Tell us a little bit about your life as a faculty at IIT Madras, especially the proud students that you have generated, and how you think you inspired at least a few of them to hold up to good values in research and in various things in life. Please tell us about your research scholars and your academic life here.
So generally I would say the students in IIT are basically good. They are coming with a good academic background, coming from decent good families. So it is only up to us to nurture them even better. So we have to tap the untapped potential which is lying hidden in them. I have found that all my students, I have not guided too many, 6 PhD students, 6 MS, 22 MTech and 4 or 5 BTech students. They are all highly motivated. So you give a topic and tell them briefly in a very short summary what the aim is and what you expect from them. And I never gave them any previous material or something, and most of my students' thesis, each was different from the other. There was no real continuation of the same work. And all the reports seemingly were really good. So even though I am basically into mechanics, I have stepped into other areas of non-mechanics also, including instrumentation, signal processing, image processing and so on. And in this I am very happy to say I have learned quite a bit from the students also by way of questioning them and asking them the previous work and all that. So it is more of an interaction type, not a bossing type. You give them free hand, give the title, ask them to search for the material and ask them to come back and tell you the summary and whether they are interested in continuing that particular work or not, and what input they would expect from me and all that. So I have found most of the time it was very positive. Only in very rare case of 1 or 2 I had to really push, because some of them were married and they had to get back to their family after 3 years, and they took a little bit extra time. But otherwise everybody completed their thesis with good reports, and many of them are, mostly except 1 or 2 who are in non-academic. One is in industries. He was a group leader in Infosys before he joined here, and then somehow he got interested in doing masters and PhD. He came to me for masters. He did some very good work on muscle physiology and muscle mechanics, and he went and joined after completing the program, and somehow again he felt that he need to do further by way of PhD. So just at the time of my retirement he came back, so I had to tell him that I would be retiring soon and he can work with my colleagues. He did that too, and now he is a senior vice president in a company, in a private leading company which has a lot of international contacts. He is very well paid, very happy, and I am very happy to tell at this point of time, he was so much inspired by my little soft attitude and guidance. He has instituted an award in my name for 2 best theses in biomedical engineering, one for PhD, best PhD thesis, another for best master's thesis. I am really touched by his gesture of instituting an award in his teacher's name. The others are also equally, they are all well placed. Most of them are professors or heads of departments or deans, and one of my students is also a vice chancellor in Jaipur in Manipal Institute of Technology. He rose very fast. He became a professor, he became a dean, he became a director, and now he is a vice chancellor. And all the students have done very exceptionally academic continuation work, and even to this day whenever I call them or convey some news, I have a WhatsApp group. They are really touched, and I can hardly say that they are like your own children. Even today they fall at your feet and wait for your blessings. So that is the kind of I don't know, by God's grace, I have not instilled very much to them, but it is very fortunate that I had that good students. And so my feeling is that generally nobody is bad. The guide also is not bad. The faculty, the students are also not bad. You have to take them along, cajole them, and they go into some kind of problems or depression or something. You have to talk to them politely and silently, and bring them up in the life. I have done this with one or two students, some lady students who express difficulty in their family life, not bearing child and something like that. So these kind of things, you have to be a father to them also sometimes. So this I feel really inspires, and all of them are very, very grateful to me even now. And one student who could not do well in some other department switched to my department. When I was the HOD, I could bring that person, and she got her PhD, and she is now a professor in Annamalai University. Even to this day, I have not done much to her. She is so highly grateful to me for my gesture. So my feeling is, even though the subjects are interesting and sometimes tough, and even my days applied mechanics used to be really sometimes very tricky and tough, but we can always get along. So there is nothing like failing. If you fail once or something, you will definitely rise up and you go even better. This is my feeling. So I think there should be a sort of counseling by the guides to the students to find if they have any problem, any family problem or any academic problem or any guide problem, and try to solve it in a very convenient way without hurting anybody's feelings. So this approach I followed, and I am very happy I have made quite a success in this, and I feel that our students can go a long way in their professional career. Thank you.
You are a true guru for most of your students, taking care of them from all aspects, and it's an ideal position that most of us will learn by looking at your own experience. Now let us switch over to a different topic in terms of your own experience with this academic entity called applied mechanics. So applied mechanics, only IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, there are only a few major IITs who still hold on to this entity. Some people thought that it was a service department. Many others thought it's some sort of an avial of small things put together. Very few people see that it's a soup which has its own identity of its own. And recently, following that philosophy, the name of the department also has changed from applied mechanics to applied mechanics and biomedical engineering. There was a time when applied mechanics was listed as one of the departments that should be closed down by a Ganapati committee. And there was another time where there was administrator was trying to woo away people from the department to other departments, and a big bunch of people left the department and joined some other department. This was in this turmoil that you took over as the head of the department. And please share with us how you brought the entire thing together, and now it's a growing department with more than 33 faculty. Please share part of your experience.
Thank you, Professor Lakshman, for bringing the department into picture. So when I joined the department strength was only about 16 or something. Now the department strength is 33. It has grown by leaps and bounds. Our department was considered a supporting department, not a full-fledged department. I always used to feel that it deserves more than a full-fledged department. as we are mostly interested in research, guiding students at master's and PhD levels, and handling several interdisciplinary academic courses in BTech level also. So I myself handled engineering mechanics right from day one when I joined the institute in 1966 to more than 25 years or something. And this used to be a common subject for 2 semesters to start with for all engineers, all disciplines of engineers. And we had to coordinate with the 4 faculty handling 4 different batches with a common paper and common grading and sometimes mostly common tutorial and all that. So handling the BTech students and handling this tough assignment was really a challenging one, and some people felt that that should not be pushed into this teaching this BTech mechanics program. But somehow the department felt whatever is the background, whether you are a physics man or electronics man or something, this basic course everybody should be able to handle. So that way we had a good team. It went on for several years, and now the engineering mechanics course, which was a 2 semester course, has now been reduced to 1 semester course, and there is even some option of electrical students not opting the mechanics course at all, I think, if that is true. But I sincerely feel this course taught by different teachers and by different groups, the solid mechanics group, fluid mechanics group and machine dynamics group, was truly a broad-based knowledge given to the students. So in areas of further growth in their professional career, you could fit into many areas of research or consultancy work. That way our department deserves a much higher place, and I have been even advocating, even during the last few years of my life in IIT Madras, that we should also start an undergraduate program. And applied mechanics was not very seriously taken by many people in the country, because only 2 institutes had at that point of time, IIT Madras and IIT Delhi, the applied mechanics department. But the way we had handled our students and produced the results where they could find job in all areas of industry, academics, research and so on, people slowly started recognizing this, and now few more colleges are joined into the stream, and that is how we have, under the expert guidance of Professor Lakshman Rao, we formed the Indian Society of Applied Mechanics, ISB, Indian Society of Applied Mechanics. So it's a very heart fulfilling society which is growing in stature in the last 10 years or something, 5-6 years, with several conferences being held everywhere across different states in the country. And I have myself participated, and Lakshman Rao is the main person. He has pulled a lot of people from different IITs and space research and other organizations into this. So I feel that the society should find a more stupendous growth in terms of the potential that is available in all IITs in the area of applied mechanics. So the biomedical engineering, which was attached to applied mechanics, was also not very seriously taken by many people outside, because they were trying to wonder what biomedical has got to do with applied mechanics. But recently somehow I was pressing that we should have a separate biomedical engineering center, or the department name should be changed to applied mechanics and biomedical engineering. Recently, after Kamakoti took over, somehow this has gone through, and I am very, very happy that we have a very good group of biomedical engineering students, faculty, nearly 10 faculty in all the 3 groups, or 10 or 11, totaling about 33, the highest in the department so far. And the only thing which is a little sore point is, even when I was the HOD, just before that, the machine dynamics group, which used to play a very active part in lot of testing, consultancy, vibration studies, and lot of research projects and so on, somehow they wanted to have their name changed. They didn't want to be in the applied mechanics department, want to be called as applied mechanics faculty. Rather, they would like to be called as mechanical engineering faculty. So that group of about 5 or 6 faculty with very good German collaboration and a very good lab, after long Senate proceedings and all that, under the headship of one senior professor, they, as a bundle, they shifted to mechanical engineering department. Anyway, we didn't feel buoyancy or vacant because of their leaving the department. Instead, we have gained more strength. Even with their presence, the strength was only about 23, 24. Now it is 33 with only 3 sections, and I would still insist that this department now takes a pledge to form a full-fledged department with the undergraduate program and leading to information in all areas of present day research and technology at very high levels, including artificial intelligence, space research, the naval research, and so on and so forth. So my sincere wish is that Department of Applied Mechanics and Biomedical Engineering becomes also an undergraduate and a postgraduate and a postdoc research department, and continue to grow further and further and help the nation build a strong team. Thank you.
That's very nice to hear from you, sir. Let us talk a little bit about your life in the campus. You are most of the time always in the campus, apart from academic life. So, for one thing that I know is that a bunch of you used to go for walking every morning. So there's a walkers club. You may not agree very well with the philosophies of everybody else, but all of you get together and walk, and that's a great culture which is perhaps vanishing nowadays. Not walking, but people meeting, even if they don't have it, they don't agree with each other. Can you tell us a little bit about your other activities and especially this walking?
So the IIT campus is very green, all of you know. There is a lot of flora and fauna, lot of animals going around. When we were students, even snake used to come inside our rooms and all that, and we used to drive it away. Scorpions, snake, all this very common. And now most of you can feel the presence of deer coming to you and taking some fruit from you, or the monkeys coming and snatching away certain things from you and all that. So we are living in a world with animals which are also primates like us. Only thing is they don't talk the language that we talk, but we love to be with them. And as Lakshman Rao pointed out, myself and a group of about 6 or 7 faculty from our department and the neighboring department also thought that we should take an early morning walk, enjoying the breeze, then flora and fauna, the birds whizzing, the noises the birds make. So we did that for almost 25 years, and we used to start from a point very close to the Jalakanteswara temple and go up to the Krishna Kaveri hostel, then go up to the SAC Student Activity Center, go to the stadium, make 1 or 2 rounds inside the stadium, then trace the path back to Jalakanteshwara temple, take a round around Jalakanteshwara temple and come back to the same point. So this used to be a stretch of about 5 to 6 kilometers, which used to last for about 1 hour. And after that, everybody used to say they want some coffee. I used to entertain them most of the time in my house, and that's why I was called WBC, World's Best Coffee. So my wife used to prepare, and she was also a teacher, and she used to hurry to catch the bus, but somehow she took it very lightly, and we all had a good cup of coffee. And many times we used to even go outside. We have walked from IIT to the Marina Beach, the Marina Napier Bridge and all that, and we used to have breakfast with somebody paying for everybody in Ratna Cave in Triplicane. So the famous idli vada and all those things with a bucket of sambar. So we enjoyed life. We used to spend time sitting at near the Gandhi statue, cutting jokes and all that. So like that we have gone to different places, Marina Beach, the Elliots Beach, Mylapore temple, some famous restaurants in Mylapore which are age old, which are still continuing, which is famous for their delicacies and all that. So I feel it not only kindled a greater rapport, so we became so friendly that our families used to join together, and we had a joint outing where all the 6 families or 7 families had a dinner or lunch together, or whenever somebody's birthday or child's some good occasion is there, we used to give presents and so on. So all these simple things carry much weight. So even today I am in touch with many of them, except 1 or 2 who are no more with us. But that sense of gratitude and love and affection, I think it doesn't come by staying alone in the department, working with computer all the time and all that. So this has to naturally come. So that was, and now I am also a member of an outside club called the Prof Club. So it's a club of professionals and business people, all retired senior citizens from all walks of life, from government to private to academics and all that, with about 400 members. I was also in the EC committee there, and I was in charge of Provost Club annual walkathon. So every year on the Gandhi Jayanti day, October 2nd, in the last 10 years or 7-8 years, I have brought a group of about 30 to 40 very senior people from the Provost Club into IIT. So they have seen the IIT for the first time. We used to make everybody, some ladies who are above 55, 60 and 70 also used to walk from the in-gate up to Taramani guest house. And that used to be about 2 kilometers. It will take about 40-45 minutes. We did not ask anybody to walk fast or slow. They walked at their own rate. And then we had a good breakfast in Taramani. And all of them are very, very loving, and they pay a lot of respect to me because I initiated that and carried it forward for the last 7-8 years, and it is still continuing. So I am very happy to say that also. Now something more, I was also a warden in the Kaveri hostel where I was a student. I resided there in the common middle wing, which was called the Mount Road, because all people going to the mess have to walk through that area. It will be very noisy, and that was called the Mount Road. And I was a faculty advisor for students also. It's called SAC, Faculty Advisor SAC, Students Activities Committee, which used to have monthly meetings in the SAC, and we used to discuss some student problems and some personal problems also. Then I was also involved in the ICSR project cell as a team member, going through the projects and selecting people for projects. So the project coordinator will sit and the candidate will come, we will interview the candidate and find whether he is suitable or not. Then I was also involved in the library advisory committee as a member for some time. I have been the coordinator for several national and international conferences. There was Professor Megha Singh in our department who conducted a number of international conferences almost once in 2 years, and I was very ably supporting him as a joint coordinator. And I have myself also conducted national conferences which was well attended. I was also the AICTE subject expert in the area of biomedical engineering, and I was consulted sometimes. I am a reviewer for an international journal of yoga. There is an international institute of yoga in Bangalore. I am been an examiner for 2 or 3 of the PhD students, and I am also a reviewer of the international journal. I have also published along with Megha Singh and Professor Patil some monographs and edited some books, and we have presented as usual all the international national conference. And I was also a DAAD fellow, DAAD fellow, which is German government used to offer on a short 3 months visit to Germany, Bremen, Institute of Bremen. So I was also a national accreditation committee, NAC committee member. I visited some few institutions to recognize their grading for national accreditation. So this is just to brief some of my activities. Other activities which the institute is now embarking on a larger mission. I am very, very happy that this institute has grown very big in size with a new department of medical science and technology, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and so on and so forth. So I have done some work initially on the tire pressure measurement in MRF standard tires, the different buds and how the pressure distribution is. I have developed an air supported bed for prevention of bed sores in patients who are bedridden for long periods of time with a MS student, an alternate inflation and deflation bed. We also did some work on head injury modeling, including some partitioning membranes of the brain, which was not included in earlier studies. Is Dr. Kumaresan, who is now in US on good position. We also did some work on scoliotic subjects, somebody with spinal deformity. So we tried to assess them and give some corrective procedures. We have done some finite element modeling and suggested where to place the rod and what force to be exerted and so on. One of my earlier students has worked also on brainstem auditory potentials and assessment of hand strength in gripping cylinders of different sizes in normal, diabetic and leprotic subjects. We have done this for a quite number of leprosy cases where surgery has been done to transfer tendon from some other place to the fingers, and there was a great doctor, Padma Shri, Dr. Srinivasan, who was deputy director in the Leprosy Research Institute at Chengalpet. We have interacted with him. One of my students has done a good work on osteoporosis in men and women and quantified the reasons and the stresses. So like that, I am very happy that the institute is now into several high-tech areas. Like recently you hear about a lot of dengue, which is in Madras city. It is mosquito dengue causing a lot of problems, health problems. So in dengue detection and assessment, traffic safety regulation, one Venkatesh in mechanical design department is doing that. And we have a good team in nanotechnology. Our professor in nano is Padma Shri. What's his name? Yeah, he is in the physics department. And even in the space exploration, my colleague Professor Narayanan is guiding the present chairman of Chandrayaan mission. So very happy to say that. IIT Madras has also developed a Silicon Photonic Research Center, a new sterilization system for dentistry, and this present heritage center is also a very good idea, which was thought of by one Professor Ajit Kumar in mechanical department. IIT Madras is doing a lot of work on brain research. A lot of funding has come to that. In pollution studies, they are also doing Chinese studies. I would like to suggest you introduce some Sanskrit studies. There is a professor for Sanskrit. You open a course which is optional, which is not compulsory, to dedicated interested students, faculty and staff in the campus to learn Sanskrit to some speaking level and writing level. So Sanskrit is the ancient language all over the world, and it is a subject which has not been really fully utilized, understood by many people. There is a lot of literature on our hymns, on our Vedic scriptures, and the Sanskrit, use of Sanskrit. So I feel IIT Madras should open the window for Sanskrit along with this Chinese, Japanese and French studies, whatever you do. So in our department we have also done using what is called a barograph, a lot of foot pressure measurement in diabetic and leprotic patients, and come up with a foot model with minimize the foot pressures in leprotic patients. Professor Patil was my colleague, and he has patented that and given the know-how to some hospitals. So lastly, what I would like to say is IIT Madras has got beyond boundaries, beyond India to Tanzania. So they are setting up an institute of IIT Madras in Tanzania with the Tanzanian government, and this is going to start maybe in the next month, October, November. Their program. It's the first IIT in India to have an international institute. So as I said earlier, the Indian Society of Applied Mechanics had to be carried on further, and I was also instrumental in forming the first Faculty Retirees Association. We had a retirees association which was common to all, where the faculty members' participation was very, very minimal. After I retired, me along with one or two more, Professor Maji and one or two more people, we formed this IIT Madras Faculty Retirees Association, which have been doing excellent work, especially in problems we had earlier with the pension and so on and so forth. So I would conclude by saying that I am willing to be a partner in counseling some students who have some issues on any matter, whether it is academic or non-academic or family or love affair or something. I am nearing 80 years old, so my wish is that IIT should grow stronger and stronger with all big people around. So Jai Hind.
Sir, it was so nice learning a lot of what you did when you were in service, and what I want everybody also to know, that he is not quiet even after he retired. It's more than 15 years since he retired, but he is very much there at the beck and call whenever we call them for any advice, and he actually gave keynote speeches in our conferences, and even as recently as last November he was there in Jamshedpur participating in the conferences and so on. So it's God has given him reasonably good health, and he is in Chennai, and he knows that with whatever he is endowed with, he can serve both technically as well as non-technically, and is an ideal person, as a person whom we have to look forward to lead a good life. So it's a nice thing. So, but before we end, I think you should tell us a little bit about your partner and your children, and also those who have contributed to your own visions.
Interesting thing. Anyway, I think there is a little time. I will take about 3-4 minutes. Got married in 1972 to one Lochana from Trichy. She was also in academics. She was a MSc chemistry. She was teaching at Sita Lakshman Rao C College in Trichy. So we were both academicians when we got married, and our life in IIT was very, very beautiful. I have two lovely daughters, no regrets at all not having a son. Either son or daughter, it doesn't matter at all. I personally feel daughters are more loving to their parents, especially in their old age. So my first daughter is in Chennai. Somehow our family is a little disturbed because of a boy who is autistic, one boy. His other boy is in US studying. My second daughter was number one in the Kendriya Vidyalaya. Her name is still on the board, Deepa. She was good in both athletics, sports, basketball, academics. She was a national talent scholar. She went abroad. She did her master's and she did her MBA from National University of Singapore. She worked for Dell Computers. Now she is working for HP Computers in Singapore itself. She has one girl child who is loving. So I have a very contented, happy family with the grace of God and my parents. So Mata, Pita, Guru, Devam. So the first living God on earth is Mother. After that only is the Father. The next in that family is Guru. So last but not the least is the Almighty Supreme. So with these words I bless all of you. Have a wonderful time, enjoy and help the nation grow further.
So, Professor Radhakrishnan has shared lot of perspectives of his life and his stay here in this campus. He is like a Rajarshi, and he is definitely a person to whom we can look forward to for any piece of advice. And I think many people who are young should know how to tap the resources of older people. Even many times, even just their darshan helps a lot. Simply going and saying hello gives a lot of boost and energy to us. And I think he has lived a life of fulfillment, and we continue to get inspired from him by going to him for various advices, technical and non-technical, and feeling that he is part of the grandparentage of the department. We are very grateful to you, sir, for sparing your time and sharing your life perspective with us.
So one last sentence. Although Professor Lakshman Rao is an academician, academic scholar, he is also a Vedic scholar. He is well versed in a lot of Vedic scriptures, and his profound knowledge in all the pujas and homams and all these things. And I have, after retirement, also conducted 3-4 homams in both the temples for the benefit of the entire community. I think in addition to pure academics, a lot of spiritual activity is also a must to bring in a peace of mind and healthy living for all. Thank you.